always been and where they wanted it to go. And just that kind of thing is all I can remember. I know it wasn't left around the house. And a lot of dead trees and things like that were cleaned up and given to neighbors that didn't have woods and all like we did. We'd come and cut trees and keep the woods cleaned up. Now those trees down there were down by the lower pasture gate, and the garden was right, from about where Becky is there on the way over on the side of the hill. There should be a branch going through down there. See that cedar tree right yonder on the opposite side?
Mm-hmm.
Back up in that area before you get to the top of the hill, all that in there was a horse lot. And the horse barns and stables and hay barns and things were back. It was either a board fence or a rail fence. My daddy didn't use barbed wire on the pens where he kept the stallions and their breeding stock and all that. That was board fences. And lightning struck it, I think a year before my daddy died, probably in 1929. And that all burnt out. And it was just cleaned up and never was built back. He had bought a Palomino stallion, came in on a train to Greenwood, and that was one of the last trips he made, was to Greenwood to get that stallion and bring it home. The boys were never allowed to ride that breeding stock. They knew how to take care of it. And that summer, the very summer that he died in July, Chuck, the 15-year-old brother of mine, led that stallion out, put a saddle on him, and he bucked all right. He didn't want that saddle on him. But that stupid boy got on that stallion. And, of course, it threw him off. Come down on him with front feet. John, the older brother, was sitting in the pickup truck. Had a gun in the pocket on the side door of his. He was a stock dealer. He shot that stallion right through the heart. If he hadn't, it'd killed him. Boy, that was a lot of money down the drain. Stupid kid doing something that he never was allowed to do. And knew better. But kids do strange things. A lot of farmers in this area was disappointed over that. They wanted to breed their stock. Did you learn anything from Juanita? I got thinking after we were talking, she didn't live at Center Valley only until she was probably 15. I think she was 15 when she married Gay. She spent the rest of her life up there in the McConnell settlement. Did you see where the Greenfields lived up there? Let's see, northwest of Carnish, where the Greenfields were.
Well, she, her grandfather, though, lived...
Well, her grandmother was Aunt Eliza East, my daddy's sister.
And the East place is right in the middle of where we are looking. So,
Center Valley? Yeah, but I don't think she remembers it. I think she probably just remembers talk of it. Dee and Dolly McClellan, Dolly East was her parents. And Aunt Eliza was her parents. And Will East, now down by Potato Hill, he owned a lot of property down there, and a lot of them are going to steer you down there for the East property that won't go all the way back to those old folks. But that was a cousin to Juanita. I think he was a grandson of Aunt Eliza's. I don't think Will was old enough to be her son.
Well, she helped us out a lot just talking about the East place, but you've got a picture of that house that's...
There's a lot of pictures in that trunk that belonged to my daddy that she was wondering where I got those pictures. I told her, I said, well, I didn't get them. They've just been there all the time. And she didn't realize I had my daddy's trunk.
Oh, yeah?
No, she didn't have any idea that I had it. Said she was going to come over sometime. I told her, I said, well, you just come all you want to and look all you want to. But if you're coming to carry off stuff, just forget it. She just informed me right quick she was going to come and get some of that stuff. I said, oh, no, you're not.
Oh, really?
And she said, well, I have a right to it. I said, no, you don't. Our whole family's been like that.
She just called you up and said that?
Yeah. After she talked to y'all, she called me up and wanted to know where I got all that material. I told her, I said, well, Juanita, I didn't exactly get it. I said, that's my daddy's old trunk, and I've had it for 50 years. Since we left the camp area down there, I've had it. Good heavens, that dirty, nasty old thing, some of my sisters and the biggest part of them would never have had that in their houses. And I wouldn't let go of it. Of course, I had Mama until she died, too. Well, the last 5 years she lived, she came back and lived with me on a hospital bed, and the only time she's ever off the bed's when Frank or some of the men folks lifted her off. We had a lot of family visitors in those years before Mama died. That Janice Holt Giles that wrote Johnny Osage, she always came down home or hunted Mama up wherever she was, and Ethel, Ruth's wife, she would always hunt her up. And Liam, brother that was the streetcar operator and lived in Fort Smith, she'd always go to their house. And but Mama was the main one she wanted to talk to, and I realize now that old trunk was 90% of what she was coming around for, which was fine. That's all right. I'm not complaining. But I didn't realize that Janice and then Lois Orrell, another relative that's a writer, I had no idea how much that old trunk helped them.
Oh, it's a wonderful...
How much material they got, along with the knowledge, talking to the family and all. I just really didn't give it any thought. Till, well, I guess when I read Johnny Osage, I had helped Janice get a lot of that material. Have you ever been down to Arbuckle's Island? Down the Arkansas River down there? Well, that's where Johnny Osage killed that Simon Gertie.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. He dogged him to death for about 3 years. They said that the man, he weighed about 350 pounds, and when Johnny killed him, said he wouldn't have weighed 100. He didn't give him a minute's rest.
Yeah. Well, would you like to wander on? We'll get back loaded up.
Might help you a lot. And of course, I'm always ready to go. I'm going to walk down here with this tree and see if I can get any idea where I poured that stuff.
Okay.
I imagine it's all been hooked up. And I don't have any idea with all this plowing around here how deep it might be. It's still there. Now see, the granary and the mule barns and all that was both of them on the other side. But the pasture came right up to the back, pretty close to the house at times. It was fenced and cross-fenced to where, that's the old blue. You don't find many fruit jars like this, that blue color now. You find them, it'd probably be in a shop somewhere. I still got some of them, but they were kept, down through the years. And then people up on Main Street, when they started opening those shops up there, I don't know if the people wanted my old jars. I said, no. After I'm dead, if the kids wants to sell them or give them to you, but as long as I'm here, I'm going to keep them.
Tell me about the kind of dishes you had and what you used, and any kind of special dishes that you used only once in a while, or?
This is
just over it.
The dishes were heavy. That was the dishes we used all the time. The cups and saucers and plates and bowls and everything were heavy like this.
Did you see that,
That's probably
Mom?
a piece. And they were white. And then Mama had the good dishes were blue willow pattern
Mom, I'm
china.
knocking over it.
I've still got a bowl and a platter. And this is the kind of material that was used in the crock jars that we stored the grease and stored in the smokehouse. We put lard and stuff to store it in there, and we'd cook the sausage till it wasn't red anymore and put it down in there and pour the grease over it and seal the jars. And then we use these for put the milk in to raise the cream, to skim it. Then we use that milk and that cream, but we had a cream separator that we separated the main body of the milk and sold the cream. It was shipped from Greenwood until the creamer went in. Take it to Greenwood and put it on the train. And they use these big bowls for raising the cream on the milk that the family uses.
What's over here?
And keep the butter in.
You got it. Some snake.
Well, look at the shape of that. It's just broken a little bit.
Snake. Jump over here. On.
And that's a mule chute.
That's
Leave
key.
him alone. Let him go.
Yeah, I mean, this is a family thing here.
Oh, be careful with the glass. It'll cut.
I've got one piece there that would. This blue, the fruit jars are practically all like that. They were not clear glass.
Found a
I
lid
remember.
over there. An old smashed canning lid.
Uh-huh.
And I have no idea how many fruit jars Mama had. And as they were open, they're always washed and the lids put back on, so they'd be clean inside, even if we had to store them in a place where they got dirty. The inside's clean. And I got a big old wash pot. Build a fire outside.
Can we do something else, Mom?
Mm-hmm.
Can we do
I
something
don't
else, Mom?
recognize it, but I wouldn't say I hadn't seen it. It's probably a glass or maybe a
Now
picture.
let me do something else. Mommy! Is he doing something else?
Draw your O.
Yeah, whoever looking for the
Snake.
material that things are made out of to get down here in these ditches.
Mom! This. I don't know where this
I
big
like this.
ugly one.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's weird. That is weird.
See, this one's about the thickness of the fruit jars
Right
were.
down there.
Uh-huh.
I'd say that was a picture of a fruit jar. However, there were some bowls and dishes, serving pieces, that would be that kind of pretty colors. Isn't it pretty?
Yeah.
Oh, Mom, got a foul.
Well, we find a lot of things, and we try to tell stories from what we find, but it's so much, I mean, to hear somebody tell the story from experience is helping us a lot.
Mom,
Yeah.
be here. Come over here. Come over here.
Those tracks.
So here's another one. A lot of vases
Mom,
and
let's set
glasses,
up here, right here. I'll
bowls.
finish off this.
Now that purple glass, was that purple glass when you were using it? Did you have a lot of purple glass type things?
This piece of purple glass that I have here.
Yeah.
This.
Oh, that's a piece of brown glass. We
This
find
is amber. It's
Uh-huh.
not really brown, it's amber. And it would be a bowl or a vase or maybe glasses. There might have been some novelty jars, but I don't think there were any canning jars that color.
we find snuff jars that color.
Snuff glasses?
Mm-hmm. The kind of little square jars.
Yeah, Mama dipped snuff and Grandpa King did too. I don't recall any of them that looked like that.
That's just about the same color.
Mm-hmm.
Mom, just
Be careful with that piece of glass, Bubba. Gosh.
Depending on what brand you
here.
Well, tell you what,
Yeah, Mama dipped snuff, but she wasn't nasty with it like a lot of people
Well,
were.
Mom.
Let Mama carry the glass.
Dad appreciate that too, those years I took care of her when she couldn't get out of bed.
Mom, watch this.
There's a yellow one.
Mom, watch this.
Mhm.
Whoa, did you see that?
Let's see what you
Bald-faced hornet.
If a person wasn't afraid to dig, they could come down here and find a lot of stuff, I imagine. These places were here for a long time. I don't remember what point in time this house was built here where I grew up. I know it was when
Joseph.
my daddy built it for his first wife, Hetty.
Got in the mud.
And it never was Grandma Narcissus's home. This place wasn't.
Here, Mom.
John's gonna make you ride on top anyway.
My daddy's family that I remember was Uncle John
Mom,
and
come
Aunt Sarah Thames. I saw them a lot and wrote to them for years, and the rest of the family were all older. Some of them I don't remember except just the names and knowing who they are. That's the way the East and the Cardens, that their families were. I don't remember them. Look, there's the bottom of a jar or a bowl. It's got some kind of a figure on the bottom of it.
So like it says
Mom, come here.
probably 5 or 6, maybe.
Mom.
I thought it was a
Number
6. I just got a
Number
glimpse of it.
6.
Now what that means, I have no idea. But you can see here's a rim here, and then it goes on right here, and you come over here, here's a rim.
Uh-huh.
So it's some kind
Looks
of
like
bottom
the
of
bottom
a
of a jar, a big bottle or
jar,
a big
bowl,
jar.
or
Mhm.
something.
Mom, I'm squishing this.
Yeah, you're getting muddy. Now you'll have to run along behind the vehicle with your granny.
Don't worry about
To
that.
get back in.
Don't worry about getting it dirty. You guys can get as dirty as you want.
We can kick our shoes off when we get in. Put them back on when we get out.
Look at the colors in that one, Grandma.
I say that's a piece of window glass.
Uh-huh. Nice and flat.
The house had 2 doors and 2 windows and a long front porch across the front. And then there wasn't any windows in the east or the west end of those rooms. Downstairs, of course, there was upstairs. And on the top of the porch, the top of the porch was a little balcony with a rail around it until just the last few years it was taken down, but the roof was flat enough that it was sort of a little balcony porch to be used. And then where the house, this back part of the house come up and joined the other part of the house on both sides. Upstairs there were windows that opened right out on the porch roof of the porches that went down the side. And then there were windows downstairs that faced out on the porch. And then there was 2 in what was the dining room. It had 2 windows on the east, and then the very back room had 2 windows. And then one in the end of the room right over the cellar was a big window. And the west side had 2 windows that came up to the... One of the windows was under the porch and one wasn't on the west side.
What in there? Oh, Mom, I found it.
Sure was fun to city kids to get down there and open those windows upstairs and get out on the roof. Well, they didn't stay long. Mama caught them. I don't know. They must have broke us in the habit when we were kids. We didn't do much of that. We'd sit down in the windows and put our feet out on the roof, but I don't recall ever walking out on it. And the roof was shingles or shakes, the homemade kind.
Mm-hmm.
This kind of roof was on it. And then this drop siding boards. But the inside was sealed with tongue and groove boards, like the floor and the walls and the ceiling were all the same thing. And just as smooth as hardwood floors.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty. And I remember we papered the front room after my daddy died. We put wallpaper on it. Had to tack up canvas and then put the paper to the canvas to make it stick. And it sure was pretty. And we put that paper on there, made it so much lighter. It's hard to find anything. And where's the spring? I'm not far enough over for it yet. If they haven't plowed it up or run through it, I pretty well found the foundations to both houses coming across from home. There was a turnoff from the road and a lane went right on the north out to the house. Of course, the foundation of Grandma Jones's house, I didn't see it till after the camp clouded up and tore it up. They tore the old house down and they plowed through here and uncovered the foundation of it. Good grief, what's that? Not some live ammunition or something.
No, that looks like one of their little flare things.
Joseph.
Let's stay away from it, okay? See it, Becky?
Yeah.
Probably not anything dangerous, but you don't know.
But you can see there's some
Well,
sandstone
all that
block.
stuff wasn't here. They've been back in here plowing and tearing up again. This is crop dish material, but it's a different thickness. What we saw over yonder. I'd say this was a bowl. Or maybe a platter. There's something else, I don't know what it is. Maybe. We'll leave it alone. We don't need to know what it is.
These too big.
These rocks are the foundation,
Whoa.
but they're not
Here.
laid out like they were when I
Here.
So,
I have broken a block.
Ooh.
Broke, I got your
in the
jeans.
right direction from the Allstock place for it to be right about here.
so Grandma, where did they, when they hid Grandpa out before he died?
Up on the side of the
Up
mountain.
that way?
Yeah, just right over this way. Right where that mountain bends.
That's a pretty good little jog.
Oh, I have broke my gun. Broke my gun. I broke my gun.
Without it in one of those chimneys, I might be wrong. There was a big step rock to the house that Grandma Jones built back.
Right there.
That was a chimney stone in the first house. And it was a great big old rock. I don't see how it was making the move yet.
There's a pretty good sized rock over here.
Leaving an
This
awful
big
hole.
wave.
Grandma.
Yeah, that looks like it might be it right there. But it wasn't in two pieces. Of course, time could take care of that. It was just one big flat rock.
That's a real big gun. that's a real big gun.
I may be too far up the hill, but I don't think I am. Let me try to get by and see if she can find a spring area.
Good.
Stayed there a long time after they
Oh,
tore their old house
yeah.
down. That barn was still there. But it's been gone for a long time, and I couldn't even
Oh,
find
my
where
foot.
it was.
This is a bigger, big.
These cedar trees got me
No,
stuck.
you're around.
They've come up here since.
They're pretty young.
Yeah, they have come up here. This soggy ground.
Oh, no.
I don't remember it being soggy from the house down to the spring. And there was an open well, dug well, between the house and the spring. It's really to find some of the rocks. And
Looks like
when I was here, they had some big old oak trees pushed over. Right down by the spring, great big trees.
well, these trees look like they've been pushed down right here.
Yeah, but those were big old trees like this, and the root system was higher than your head.
What?
The trees that were down closer to the spring. And I don't see any of that now. They've all been cleaned up or something's happened to them. That's where the boys found so many artifacts too, because those where the overflow water didn't get in the spring.
Uh-huh.
Now
Well, there's a little pool right down there that looks like
Mhm.
it might be the spring.
It's a little pool.
Well, if I could see it and tell if it's Copper's water.
Where?
That spring was Copper's. You know what Copper's water is. That
Down this
looks
way?
more like the brink.
Oh,
It comes
no.
across. Yeah, that's about right where it would be. The surface water, or where they had it walled away from the spring, there was that little creek just went right around. Made sort of a bend there. And the spring was just down the hill from the house. Now this wash through there, I don't understand that. I don't think that was there. I don't remember that at all. That other branch looks more or less normal, but not that. Not that gully. Anything that could have changed. How far down are we from the road?
Well, I'd say about 200 feet or so.
Well, it should be right about in here somewhere. Now that branch over there, that just looks like the original one that came down, but this here, I don't remember it.
It could have changed. I mean, you can see those.
It has in 50 years.
Yeah.
You know, them plowing through here with those tanks and pulling up the trees and everything. You'd expect some change, but I thought that Copper's water would still be bubbling up till you could see some of the... Do you know what Copper's was?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
It'd be kind of yellow stained.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
it was definitely Copper's. And never, I don't think, ever would get rid of that if it's that original. Well, like an artesian well, the water bubbled up all the time. And went on down and joined in with that branch on further down, right where the fence between my daddy's place and the Allstock place. But see, this other branch that's running so full now, that's more or less a wet weather branch. It's not spring fed, it goes dry. But from there on down, it didn't, below the Copper Spring. Where this is washed down and cut down, if anybody knew how to look for Indian relics and things, they camped here for a whole lot of years.
Were there ever any Indians that stayed here in your memory, or when
Yes,
Would
as
they
long
come
as
through?
we lived here. There were Indians that came back and visited. Um, Sometimes they'd be just a bunch of Indian men. Sometimes they would be men and women. And mostly they just walked or rode horses. I don't remember them coming in cars. Osage Indians were the ones that was a tribe that came every year, twice a year actually. They'd go south and then they'd come back and they'd camp here, coming and going. And there was about 300 of them at one point in time. I don't know how much they grew or lost, but they were not fighters or troublemakers or anything. They were more or less stayed to themselves and did their own thing. They didn't bother anything. And some of the Indian bunches that would come through and knew where the spring was and camp, you'd have to watch them or they'd kill your cows or anything else. But not the Osage people. We never had any problems with them. And they came back as long as Mama was here. Occasionally, there'd be some of them come. Of course, they were civilized and moved in. So many white people moved in around. They didn't have any lands or anything. They were just people. Some of them farmers, and some of them worked in towns.
There's a big stone right there by that tree. Would that look like what they used to wall up the spring?
No, now the spring was walled up with lead stone, just one place, one on top of another, of a sand rock, like I was talking about over yonder at the house, real pretty.
But small stones?
And you could just wash it down and keep it clean and nice, and then the basin, catch basin below it was probably 20 feet long, and it was the same way. It was built on a solid rock bottom, a rock that was just there, and then that catch basin for the stock to catch the water to use was, it was probably 20 feet long and about 5 feet wide. And it seemed shoulder high, but see, I was little then, it was probably